Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back, everybody, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, and there's a lot of heroes happening in the Storm this week. I am Garrett Weinzierl, and I am joined, as I always am, by Mr. Kyle Fergusson, and I'm not even going to let him talk, because the most important thing that we do today, before we talk about a new hero, before we talk about how there's actually not a patch to talk about because nothing changed from the PTR, before we get into the bugs that came in with the patch, before we talk about the mid-season brawl, before we talk about how you stop picking that hero when you kill the Immortal, there is a birthday that needs celebrating. I wish I had a party hat that I could reach through the internet and place on my co-host's head, because today is my favorite dude in the world, Kyle Fergusson's 30th birthday.
Well,
Happy
thanks,
birthday,
man.
Kyle. You're finally old like me.
I don't feel as old. I mean, when you're 13, 15, you look forward and you're like, oh, 18, man. I'm gonna rule the world. Everyone's gonna think I'm an adult. Then you get there and you're like 22, maybe I'll pull it off. And now I'm at 30 looking back and I'm just loving cartoons and video games. So I'm glad I'm still me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it. And oh yeah, it's already started. Let the cascade of tweets, emails, and Twitch chat yelling, "You're still young, you little whippersnappers," rain down upon us, because time is linear and this is what happens.
That's true.
Well, I hope you're having a good birthday today, sir.
I am, in fact. I got Diamond 2 today.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Put in a little bit of extra work. One of the biggest pieces of advice I got from Masters last season was hit it early. Get in there while everyone is still Diamond 3. All the Masters, all the Grandmasters, all the pros, they're still doing their placements. They're still stuck at Diamond 3 because that is the highest placement available. Went 8-2 for my placements, got right into that Diamond 3 and just ground it out. Currently, I am 17-5 and just been grinding as hard as I can.
Nice.
So I'm really happy to be in sort of the winner's circle, which means I'm going to hold on to that momentum. Whereas over the weekend, we can expect a lot of people to do their placements Tuesday, Wednesday, and then start trying out their Smurfs and things of that nature.
That's absolutely awesome. So happy for you, man. It's a good birthday present. You gave me a present today, which was an actual positive Malthael experience.
Ooh. Oh, you know, that's not a rare thing, apparently, looking at his win rate.
Apparently not, but it's definitely not happy. Now, hold on a second. Hit the brakes. This is where we just stamp our first asterisk of the evening. When you pull stats, sir, you always look at Hero League only, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You look at Hero League only, and I'm assuming you cut off a few ranks, right? Like, do you look at everything, or do you like cut off gold and below?
I look at a little bit of everything, kind of divided up here and there. I mean, sort of just to throw the stats out there right now, Malthael is number 2 in overall win rates under Samuro. As of this morning, he was number 4, so Malthael's gaining momentum. In Masters League, he's 57%. And you go down to Bronze and check that, 52%. So this isn't a information game at the moment. Of course, eventually it will be. We can expect things to transform. I mean, look at Chromie. What an interesting example. Temporal loop is what we're all saying. We want burst, we want instant kills, but we slowly transform over time, as someone tweeted at me, into utility, and that's a really cool observation. But Butcher as well. We go from Furnace Blast, I want to run, I want to kill everybody, to Lamb for the Slaughter. So maybe with time we transform back over into the percent-based heroic, but for now, people are just tormenting souls all over everybody. He's basically playing like Illidan, which I thought he'd be more of like a poke, 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 now we go. No, not really. Malthaels that I have played with in Diamond plant their faces into the enemy, and it's your job as the Tyrael, the Uther, whoever he's got on him, to make sure he lives long enough. He's, of course, spamming that Q as hard as he can. Holding down Q actually lets you spam it for you, kind of like Sylvanas. But they are 100% reliant on their team. However, I will say that the Malthaels I played with, outside the very first placement game I did, where we also had a Fury variant and a Rainer, which was strange.
That is
but beyond
very
that,
bizarre.
The Malthaels have actually been drafted very smartly and are often taken against what you would a Kael'thas comp do, but you want that melee in there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I was slapping this with an asterisk, because I've been attempting to just be the quick match hero. It's a new season. It's a new hero. I knew coming into this week, I'm like, Kyle's just gonna go nuts. He's gonna do all his placements. He'll have that covered. I'm going to just take the new hero out for a spin in quick match, because I will never, ever... I've already... Never mind. That's already a lie, because I took D.Va into Hero League, I think, within the first week of release, because it just clicked. But typically, I don't take new heroes into Hero League. I just don't do it.
And that's a little bit different. I would put D.Va in the category of things like Tyrael or Nazeebo, where you can be a little creative with what order you use your abilities in. They're higher mobility, so maybe more in Tyrael's camp there. Whereas Malthael is 100% one of these Illidan types. You are going to just go. Yep. And until they stop you, you'll just keep going. And if you're in danger, you play kind of like Murky, in fact. You're going to put a slime out, go sort of hover around them, and try to get that next critical slime.
Yeah. So anyway, back to it. In quick match, he has not been performing that well, at least for me. And I was ready to come into this show today and be like, I don't know, man. I don't know about it. But that was because I was trying to figure him out on my own. I didn't want to go look up builds. And sat down with you this afternoon. You're like, oh, whoa. Here's the build everyone's doing. He's very high win rate right now. Just take a look at this. And it turns out I was completely mucking up the first half of his talent order.
Well, let's be fair here. You've been playing in quick match, right? And that's not going to give you a very well-rounded experience. And Malthael is a counter pick. He should be a later pick in a lot of ways. I've seen Malthaels be very angry with the idea that they should be solo laning this week. And that's been a surprise to me. Some of them have been absolutely on board with it. We're all still learning at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with that. And I think he'll still be okay in Hero League, especially with the popular build right now, because the popular build right now still takes the increased heal on Soul Siphon, doesn't it? Yes, not on Soul Rip. Soul Siphon is the talent name at 13. So the most popular build is still taking the increased heal on that, and that's what you're most likely going to need in quick match, because there's never going to be a healer unless you're really lucky.
Yeah, it's a surprise, though, isn't it? I mean, you're taking Soul Rip from 3% to 4%, but that's enough to keep the survivability going, and it has sort of won out as the main build. But 13 is a situational level. You got an Unstoppable you can take. You can get physical armor if you want, spell armor if you need it.
Yep. But at the end of the day, usually just actually being able to survive is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, after today, we actually even just randomly got a composition with a healer. We were still quick matching, even though you were playing with me. So you were tanking on Tyrael. We had a healer with us. That felt so much better. And I'm not joking. That was my first experience all week with an actual composition on Malthael.
Understandable. You did take an assassin into quick match after all.
Yes. Oh, but it was lovely, man. My queues haven't been longer than like 30 seconds. I thought it was going to be way worse.
The queues have been really quick this week for the majority of us. I've heard on the top end, particularly Team League, granted these are pros, 5-stacking Team League, but they've had to wait. The stat I heard was for 3 games, he waited a total of 90 minutes combined.
Wow.
Which puts you at about, 30 minutes a queue?
That's awful. That's just that has to feel bad. Can you imagine losing after that?
Oh, geez, yeah. But what do you do then? Because you are kind of the best in the world. So those people need to be online at the same time. At least they weren't stomping the other team, hopefully. You know, we're also the ones breaking it, too. Like, we can jump in and I can queue up for 2-stack Team League with a bronze buddy. You know, now it's my fault that I've ruined that thing.
You need to start a Smurf account, but you need to lose constructively, like just enough that you end up in placing Diamond 3, but you don't win so much that you're so good that it takes you half an hour to find a game.
Yeah. There's been a lot of weird stuff this week, man. We don't really know where supports are at the moment. Rhaegar seems to be on the list as the top, maybe our first pick support, as we seem to just sort of hover in that area. I guess because it makes things easy, right? Once the support's out of the way, the rest of the comp can come together. And I've seen a lot of first pick Rhaegars this week. But they're so in their own world. And people are once again calling for him to get his ancestral healing back on himself so you can use that ultimate. I think Rhaegars are over-focused on themselves at the moment from their old training, and same with Tassadars. But Tassadars are really, really powerful right now. They are bringing the thunder, and in fact, in our games this afternoon, I was telling you to just run away.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you bring up Tassadar, because for me it feels like we've come full circle because of the fact that Tassadar is so strong in the sustained damage category now. And when I get into a game against a Tassadar, it feels like I'm playing with the Tassadar player from the technical alpha. Because everyone got in there and they wanted to be a damaged Tassadar. His kit looked nothing like it does now. And you and I had a conversation actually off stream while we were playing earlier today, and you're like, he doesn't look like a Templar anymore. Which no, I have to agree.
And that bums me out because Templars are very flavorful. They're basically like space paladins, but the really kind of nuts kind. You know, the ones that are like practically evil to the point that they're so good in a sense, just wrecking towns, destroying worlds. But I made this observation the other day. Hang on, a laser beam that slows. Hang on, shielding. A form that does more damage. Can we just remove Tassadar and put in a Shadow Priest and then get a new Tassadar?
He basically is. Yeah, he's very much a Shadow Priest. And just give his Psystorm some like shadowy tendril animation, and bam, you're done. It's a Shadow Priest healer. Or hero.
Yep. Little waves come out, and that's Weinzierl.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. But yeah, for me, I think we've come full circle on Tassadar. It doesn't feel anything like 2 or 3 months ago. Although at my level, 2 or 3 months ago, when we were in the middle of, all Tassadar all the time in the high end meta, I really just never saw him. The only time I would see him is when you would pick him. And honestly, you haven't been a Tassadar player for a long time now.
No, but remember when Tassadar came out, he was our only mage except for Nazebo. And at that time, Nazebo was going Ravenous Spirit every single game. As Li Ming came out, Kael'thas, I didn't have a need for Tassadar anymore.
Oh my god, you're right. This game really, we got in the Tech Alpha without a mage. There was no Li Ming, no Kael'thas.
If you remember, had Resurgence of the Storm, which meant every 2 minutes, if he died at level 20, he would instantly res at the hall.
Okay, you've officially got an old man on your front porch.
Yeah, well, pardon me. I've gone too deep.
You've invoked Resurgence.
Yep, Resurgence of the Storm was a thing at a time. But yeah, it's difficult to play alongside with the Tassadar right now. And they are very bossy, and they're very good, too. Absolutely warranting it. But they don't want to be Aegis because they're using their own shields on themselves with a 90% health steal to keep themselves going with their ridiculous damage. They're out-damaging poor Tychus. I feel like I say that enough, but poor Tychus is just getting run over by new Tassadar.
Don't get me started on Tychus, dude. Don't get me started. Right. You're just baiting me. You're baiting me. Anyways, yeah, I guess to kind of, I don't know, round up my week. Like after today, I'm so glad I got those games in with you. I'm feeling so much better about Malthael. I want to get in and play more games as him. Not tonight in the after show game because I'm gonna get targeted and I'm gonna die. But
sure,
at a later date,
new Euro, you will get targeted.
At a later date, I would love to get in some unranked, some team league in as Malthael with you. That would be lovely. So, anything else? Any other stories you would just absolutely had to share from your placements, or do you want to move into the news?
Oh, I've got so many, but you'll be able to check the VODs of my streams. I streamed most of these games. The Diamond 2 was off stream today, but I saw some oddities, man. 3 Rainers in my placement games. Novas, lots of Nova. First pick Novas, no less. And they were all good. I won with 3 Novas during my climb here.
Really?
Yes.
All right. I know we had this conversation off air, but I want to have it with you again. Was it the same person?
Two of them were the same person.
Okay.
The one this afternoon was on a 10-game losing spree. And every game they picked Nova. We looked at their profile because they were first picking Nova on Dragonshire, and we're all going, huh? And then we look at the profile, 10 games in a row. And the amount of sorrow that poured out of this particular individual made it 100% clear that it wasn't their fault. They were having a bad day, and they were not the ones doing the trolling. So I was very pleased to give that poor soul a victory on their account this afternoon.
Oh, well, that's good.
What's with the Rainers? It seems like the Rainers are Valla's losing Valla. And then they go, I need an auto attacker, I'll go Rainer, which is just strange.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I'd rather have a Tychus at that point. We were just talking about Tychus. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a 100% win rate on Blackheart's Bay right now.
Nice.
Yes. All Zool and Nazebo. And if I don't get Zool, you kick his butt with Nazebo. You get a little outpushed, so I do have to sort of counsel my team as to the top maybe looking like a bummer for a little bit. But kill him. If you're versing a Zool, just kill him. He can't push if he's dead.
I like that. So any particular strategy on doing that with Nazebo, or just stack poison on him as much as you can?
Right, you try to throw out the spiders onto him so they start wailing on his actual health so he doesn't feel comfortable. He has to get all the way to level 7 until he can regenerate his health, whereas you do at level 4. At level 7, you take Dead Rush, so all the zombies get up and run after they've done the wall part, which means you can basically just throw the zombies in a lane. Now it's 100% covered. You go back to the mid or the top and back and forth. Also, don't forget out there, first chest, 49 seconds. I don't know how many, because that middle lane meets first on Blackheart's Bay, the Zools always go into the middle, and then they go top, because then that connects, which gives them maximum XP. But I just go top first, and then mid, and I'm there ready for the chest. Not a single Zool has competed me for that top chest.
Oh, that's so fantastic. So what I'm hearing is just get good with your Q.
Yeah, you could do this with, honestly, you could do this with Jaina. You could do this with Greymane. Don't clear the lane. Kill Zool, and the lane will be done.
Awesome. Well, you sold me on it already because Dead Rush is my favorite thing to take on him, and it still happens that you tilt people when they don't see the spider build right out the gate.
The spider build, particularly at 1, does get a couple people tilted. I have not, since the Nazebo rework and a couple weeks after it, actually had someone get angry at me about taking Dead Rush. It is an excellent talent.
I love it, man. Spider is not my favorite build on Nazebo. I like increasing my abilities range. I like taking Blood Ritual. I like getting that Dead Rush. It's fun.
Then again, we're kind of in our vacuum here, and I'm telling you how to play Nazebo, and you're like, yeah, give it to me. So we're of course going to be down on the Spider, but of course the Spider hurts. It does. It's a fantastic build. We're not poo-pooing it here. I've even run a Toads build when I've been up against too many melee.
Went up against a Toad build Nazebo this week. It was really rough.
It hurts a lot, and that splash damage can help out a lot when you get to 7, but you are missing your nice little utilities for it.
Yep. Well, let's move on then. Let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Put me to the stage.
Click the play button, and let's get started.
So the big news this week, obviously, is the Malthael patch is here. Malthael is live. We've already talked quite at length about him, and nothing has changed. There's no balance changes from PTR to live. Everything landed as advertised. So we got our Malfurion rework, our Thrall rework. We got the new map rotation. Nothing has really been adjusted. And actually, I didn't look. So while that bumper was playing, I went and looked it up. Malfurion has not dropped that much.
No, but you have to imagine, too, with the increase in his damage and a Moonfire build or the broccoli available to you, that is a completely unknown factor. So we didn't know how he was going to perform. And Cleanse doesn't have the highest win rate in Hero League in the first place. I've taken a Malfurion this week, and the mana hurts a ton. you have to back like your Morales a lot.
Ooh.
But come the late game, it gets a little better, and you start spamming those Moonfires, and you have a good time. Particularly if you're fighting a single target, Shrink Ray is still amazing and can make it very easy when you know exactly who on the enemy side is bringing the majority of the damage.
Yep, and nowadays it's like, oh, it's a Greymane or it's a Valla. Cool, that's getting Shrink Rayed.
Yep.
I say nowadays, it's just
right.
Like 3
Like,
months ago.
oh man, remember the day back when we used to play Valla?
Well, Valla never went away. Greymane has had his ups and downs.
That's true. Greymane has suffered greatly, and it's funny how he bounced back with armor, actually. And the Goliath cocktail changes, of course, which are great, and I would love to see baked in so we can have more talent diversity.
Yep. Already talked about Malthael doing really great, but what were some of the other outcomes of the recent patch? And with the, with conceding that it is Thursday, this patch has been up for 2 days and change.
Right. The information on what Malthael is good against or good with, team-wise, has not been congealed yet. So we're going to have to wait for that information. We can assume great against multiple melee, double tank, all that sort of thing. Slow characters who aren't mobile enough to dodge your Shroud. But for map-wise anyway, Dragonshire is his top-winning map, 58% there. Basically every other one just 56 until you reach Curse Hollow, which is a flat 50, and Hanamura being his only one at 46, which does speak maybe to his lack of solo lane viability. But really, in Hanamura, if he goes solo lane, he's up against a Sieger who's just going to wreck the buildings. And if Malth wins the lane, he's not going to kill those buildings. He has no power there.
Yeah, in the 2-lane maps, man, it tempts me to take on a Pale Horse.
On 2-lane maps?
On 2-lane maps, because there's such a distance to travel. And think about it. And so often, Malthael, like in my games, Malthael, I've been ending up solo laning top, whether it's Spraxis or Hanamura. And the second you outpush your lane, you are useless. You just want to go and join the fight as soon as humanly possible. And it makes me actually consider taking on a Pale Horse.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, you push out, you win your lane. Let's say you're winning your 1v1. You're up against Asmodean, so you have great advantage with his huge health pool. And he slinks away, dies, and now you're to the wall, and you're going to do nothing about it,
yeah,
so you ride into the bottom and participate.
Yeah, what in God's name are you going to do? Reaper's Mark does not apply to structures. Reaper's Mark makes him a good lane clearing hero, but what happens when the lane is cleared? What do you do at that point? He cannot siege.
That's a cool idea, and I'd be curious to see how Malthael transforms his play style on his weaker maps in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. And by the way, this is not me saying I believe in On a Pale Horse. I think it's the shittiest talent in his entire set. Like, I think it's awful. But on these 2-lane maps, when I'm forced to solo lane, I'm looking at it going, maybe, just maybe.
As for the rest of the patch, we did see some other changes, but the big winners were Tassadar, Dahaka, and Alarak shooting up in the win rate. Biggest losers, Anubarak, Zul'jin, Probius, Murky, for some sad reason, and Chen. Chen you can expect because of Malthael here, applying damage underneath shielding when it's pure. Anubarak is kind of an interesting one. And as Malthael needs to make a connect first, it could just be that Anubaraks with Malthael are making some sort of dive comp that just isn't working out.
Yeah,
in fact,
couldn't tell you there.
To kind of run with that idea for a moment, the most powerful thing I learned last season that really helped me out in my placements was how to recognize a dive comp and how to punish it if it isn't complete. And this would be like a first pick Anubarak, which happens a lot if it got through the ban phase. That could be a dive comp, but not necessarily.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to read into that, right? Because Anubarak's just such a solid tank. Most players are just practice with him. That's a comfort pick.
Right, and he's even good against dive because you have Cocoon, or you can respond to your backline if a Genji goes on your Morales or something weird like that. But he is down right now, and I have had great success with Zul'jin, who is currently my highest win rate hero in Hero League for this season, because I'm just wrecking dive tanks that don't have a dive comp, and it's really easy to punish that. What you really need to look for is what is the front line sort of phalanx marching towards you. Is it Arthas, Sonya? Well, you got to make sure you have a shift. That is not a Zul'jin comp anymore, because that is going to march on your business, and you can't maneuver yourself fast enough. Go Greymane, go Valla, so that you can have a roll away and you don't have to stutter step as religiously. And if they messed it up, if they didn't get a dive with it, then you punish the diver because he's all alone and he's a dead man.
Cool. I like that. That could have been the strategy segment today. I'm surprised you didn't go there.
We got a lot to talk about today.
That we do. There were some things. So last week we had Dunk Train on. We had so much to talk about. There were some things on the PTR patch notes that we did not mention. We're going to mention them now. The first up is catapults, which now can slightly overlap onto one another, which will help prevent them from becoming stuck against one another when there's multiple catapults bunched up around a core. So keep that in mind if you let that many catapults bunch up around your core.
Right. When you get to 3, you could see this in the old version of the game, that the one in front would clog the back, and the other 2 would have to do this sort of around the side slow motion, which often gave time for another wave of minions to spawn. So games are ending a tiny bit quicker right now. As always, since the change on catapults, make sure you're watching them.
It was a remarkably accurate recreation of me controlling anything in Rome Total War.
As they all bunch on each other. And
Yeah, exactly.
Old StarCraft.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Varian has now been classified as a warrior for quick match.
It was time.
I just like to think that somebody over at Team 1 was getting salty about one side getting a Varian who obviously went taunt and the other side not having a warrior.
I don't think they need anybody on the inside. The community was screaming for this for weeks.
It's pretty obnoxious. And then we skipped Stitches last week. Let's talk about level 20 talents. Regenerative Bile has been renamed. It's now called Potent Bile. The healing and movement speed bonuses have been removed. The duration bonus has been increased to 6 seconds, totaling 14 seconds of poop.
And they increased that slow rate, so no longer will you be using your Bile at level 20 as some sort of tank ability, but you can use it to absolutely clog up things for an extreme amount of time, and if you're going to be fighting in that area, it's going to have a heavy impact.
Yep, it's a very unique and disgusting piece of utility now.
It is. Hungry Stitches, though, his other 20, got really nasty, too, and we talked about the removal of Stormbolt from Stitches last week. They figured, over at Blizzard, that you were only using Stormbolt when you gorged a target, so why not just go ahead and bake it in, after all? And let's get even a little bit more nutty with it. They decided to add the functionality. Gorge has increased range now, about the range of a Tychus run and gun or any of your sort of bolts or a short shift. If you select a gorge target, your second gorge target after the first, you will sort of teleport to them. So you can teleport around the entire enemy team without having to walk and just gobble them all up.
That's amazing. I haven't seen this actually executed yet, but knowing it's possible is very cool.
He also got a new talent, Cannibalize. It's a passive, and each basic attack against heroes heals Stitches for 5% of his maximum health, in case you ever wanted more healing for your Stitches.
Right, because that was clearly his weak point, was self-healing.
Of course, yeah, that's what he needed. I don't know. We're seeing great Stitches play in the mid-season Brawl anyway.
Yep.
I think he's going to be okay.
Well, some oddities snuck in with the Nexus. The first talking point in this little bit of a rundown, I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as an oddity, but there has been a lot of talk about it, especially on the Heroes of the Storm subreddit. The new bundles, I wouldn't call them new bundles, but bundles for new heroes in a post 2.0 world do not contain all the skin tints. But it should be noted that it doesn't include... Well, I didn't actually go and check the Malthael bundle that comes with his other skin. I just bought vanilla-ass Malthael by himself.
Right, and then you get the 3 versions of his base skin.
I got 3 versions. So... do you know if you bought the bundle with the other skin, if you got 3 versions of the other skin tint as well?
Right. You get 3 versions of that grave skin, which has a fantastic sort of bony back to it.
Okay, and then 3 skin tints for basic Malthael.
Right, exactly.
So you're getting the same amount that we got before 2.0. The thing that is worth noting here is that Malthael, both of his versions, his regular Malthael and the new skin Malthael, there's more than 3 tints for both of those. I believe there's 5 or 6 each.
And for some reason, the Frost one, the blue one, actually costs about double what the other colors do.
It looks pretty cool.
It does. It has a nice kind of glow to it. Maybe that does up its value. There's also the bundle for this sort of Diablo half-sea event we're in with, the new Murky and that Zeratul Talrash's skin. Or I guess that's the Li Ming, but still, Zeratul's got a skin. And with that bundle, you only get one version of each of those skins as well.
Yeah, I actually went and looked because there's a Sylvanas skin in there that actually looks pretty cool, and she has these weird kind of like leopard spots on her skin. And that made me wonder. I wonder if there's other skin tint, like color variants of this. And of course there are. If you go and look, there are many of them. One of them, she has orange skin. She almost looks like a tiger, and it's really cool, and I want it.
Yeah, it's like a Chitara.
Yeah. But that's the one that makes me raise my eyebrow because, and even though I like some of the skin tints, like the past number 3 on Malthael, I'm looking at this like, you're just buffing all of this crap out so I have even a more tiny chance of getting what I actually want out of my loot chest. Damn it.
The big sin has already been made with the voice lines, in my opinion, when you come to loot boxes.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there is a comparison out there, and if there is, I haven't seen it, and please send it to me. And I really don't know, but it feels like this compared to Overwatch, that Heroes is a lot more bloated in its potential prizes within their loot chests, and also the perceived value of those items.
Sure. They're also a lot more giving, I would say.
Would you? I guess.
Than Overwatch? Than Hearthstone? Certainly.
And Hearthstone. No, I was talking about Heroes versus Overwatch.
Yeah, in general, in free-to-play games, this would be the most card packs and backs that I have ever received in a free-to-play game.
That's fair enough. That's a good point. And I've had some pretty damn good luck. Got a legendary the other day in a standard box.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's one of these things that rubs me the wrong way, but at the end of the day, I don't care because it doesn't actually affect my gameplay. I think it just says something to how susceptible I am to really wanting certain skins.
And I think it's awesome we can now have more than 3 skin tints, and many of them look fantastic.
Cool. Okay, all right, let's just agree. Cool it on the voice lines.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make those not rare, no, but rarer as a common.
Just take them out of loot boxes. Let's just do that. just rip them out of there. Just give them to us for leveling up or something. I don't care. All right. Moving on. I don't know. I saw that and that was interesting. Hey, have you tried hearthing in the Brawl, Kyle?
I don't play Brawl, but I've heard what happens.
Yeah, apparently you just get lost in time and space.
It hearts you back to an unknown location where you can never recover.
Nope. You can't move either. You will be logged out for inactivity.
Devious.
Very much so. They need to fix this. Hey, here might be a reason why Murky dropped a little bit. His level 1 talents are broken. One of them reduces his mount speed to 110%.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. That would explain his win rate. Poor Murky.
Yeah.
Though I've actually heard of another bug today where Lost Vikings is unaffected by Reaper's Mark.
No!
Granted, it would do minimal damage on the actual board. It would still hurt, percentage-wise just as much, but apparently Lost Vikings are dodging Malthael's mark.
Oh, that stinks.
Got to get up, get that Olaf in there. Really start tanking him. He's the only one who can do it. Do we need a tank? Oh, yeah, Olaf. Let's take Olaf. Yeah, okay. We'll get a stun at 13. It'll be fine. And
imagine you're in that scenario and the 4 other players you were talking to are they just start typing in Olaf. Who's Olaf? There's no hero named Olaf.
If that's probably true, actually, many people do not play nor have touched the Lost Vikings.
I am one of them. I tried them. I tried them once and I was like, not for me. Not for me, never going to be for me. I have been taking a liking to Rexar as of late.
No.
I know he has had many changes.
I don't believe you.
He's had many changes since we sat down all that time ago. I believe we even did a video on it for the Patreon. And I just hated him. I absolutely hated him. I want to level up, got to get that number higher. So I'm just working on low-level heroes. And Rexar, a couple weeks back, I was like, oh, fine, I'll do it. I have a Warcraft quest. He's really low level. Let me try it. And I found myself having a very good time.
What changed for you?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I think it just boils down to Misha controls better. It's been so long, I don't know. I haven't played him through the course of all of his changes.
The new button system is a lot better. Misha's leash range is now much more forgiving and longer than it was. And I believe she had a number of AI updates. Plus, level 4 talents are just fun. Things like animal husbandry, where you get that health per second. They're just good talents.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But been enjoying it. Anyway, so that's so Murky having some issues. I'm sure we'll see that fixed very soon. And then finally, which I believe Mr. Kyle Fergusson would chalk this up to the greatest injustice in the history of Heroes of the Storm. The Raptor
That's
mounts.
not true at all.
Oh,
I would act well for my poor troll blood, yes, but for my sanity that I missed out on Masters last season, I'm feeling okay about this.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right, fine. You ruined my joke. It was a big setup, Kyle. And when I said what it was, everyone was going to chuckle a little bit, not a lot, because it's not that funny. But you ruined it. It's your birthday. You're allowed to. The Raptor that we all got. I hope. Hopefully, you completed your team league placements or got high enough to achieve it.
Absolutely.
The Raptor that many of us received has the same skeleton and animations as the chicken.
We actually heard 2 hours ago that this has reached the animators. They are going to be working on it and get back to us with a fully redone version. Not the model itself, of course, but the animation.
Yes. Well, the model's fine. It's a beautiful model. Yeah. They did a great job. Great. It looks like a janky Chuck E. Cheese animatronic. It doesn't work. I mean, I get it. I get the mindset. Dinosaurs are basically birds, so why not share it? But it doesn't look right. It just does not look right.
Well, this wild seesaw we've been on for the last 10 years. I mean, apparently T-Rex doesn't have feathers now due to the study I just read Monday. I can't take this anymore, okay? At least Pluto just was decisive and it was over.
It was a Band-Aid. They ripped it off and we're just not going to have the discussion anymore unless you talk to somebody who's still depressed about Pluto.
Yeah, but I can't deal. I can't deal with T-Rex just going back and forth like wild. It's depressing. Plus, I want to know if T-Rex did a dance, because birds have the most hilarious little mating dances ever, and I think it would be fabulous if T-Rex, showed off his plumage.
Completely off topic, has nothing to do with Heroes, but have you seen the trailer for the new Monster Hunter?
I have, yes.
Did you see the T-Rex-like thing with the big thing that comes out of his nose and he sniffs around?
Yep.
I just thought that was charming.
I like the Mario T-Rex, which was... They're kind of doing that weird, like, Sonic Dreamcast thing where Mario is in the real world, but he's still Mario, but everyone else is normal, and the T-Rex is normal?
He's moving between, like, realities.
Oh, okay.
The different worlds are different, like, they're different stylistically. Because there are also, if you watch that trailer, a lot of classic-looking Mario locales.
Yeah.
But
that makes more sense.
Yeah, there was your E3 minute on Into the Nexus this week.
Yeah, the Raptor needs some bounce. It's got to have that jovial, trollish gait to it, and it is hovering across the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't look right. I love my chicken. Ride it everywhere. The animation works there in that particular scenario. It does not work on the Raptor. I'm glad to hear that they're going to be doing something about it. All right, Kyle. Mid-season Brawl is in full swing. As a matter of fact, we've got a breather right now. We get 2 days to sit and be happy about what transpired for those of us here in the United States.
I've been loving this thing. Waking up to Heroes Esports takes me back to GSL. Takes me back to a bunch of, post-college jobs where I snuck GSL at work. But this has just been, it's cozy.
I do enjoy it. The hours are somewhat, still, I think, somewhat hard. It's like I was getting I wouldn't say harassed, maybe hassled minorly over the weekend, because people are like, why aren't you watching Mid-Season Brawl? And there's not enough characters, so I'll say it now. It's Sunday. I have things to do. sleep in. I'm not waking up early to start watching this. It's the first day of a 10-day damn tournament. Calm down. Or second day if it was Sunday.
You also always have that excuse in the back of your head if you miss a little bit that it's still on an old weird patch.
Well, I mean that too, but no, I mean there was no point in my mind that I think I was going to be able to catch all of this. It's too much to watch. But what I did watch was pretty darn stellar, with the exception of one thing, and don't worry, I will talk about that in a moment. But I think what really needs to happen at the top of this is we just need to say, North America, U.S. teams, take a damn bow, because holy crap, you earned it. It's been amazing, dude. After all the smack talk from me, Kyle. I didn't believe, and I was proven wrong. Roll20 and Tempo Storm, man, they're both going on. They're moving on. We're gonna see them on Saturday. Sadly, playing each other, so we are guaranteed, like, it's good and bad, I guess, because we are guaranteed to have at least one of them move on, so we'll at least get to cheer for the home team for at least 2 rounds, but at the same time, there's no chance that both of them will move on.
I mean, I just have to cheer for Roll20 just because it's a Dungeons & Dragons tabletop website.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
also,
that's good too.
Let's go to Spider Queen here. That Diablo play. Adjusting.
Yeah. Meaning, yes, absolutely. It was incredible, man.
Taught me a lot. It reminded me why I stink at Diablo now. It's funny. Back in the day, we have a lot of back in the days today.
It has
Probably
come up,
30.
Yeah, Tassadar and now Diablo. Those were like your 2 original. That and Gazlo. Those like your trifecta of early Heroes love for you.
It used to be that if you slam somebody, you would push them further and then had to catch up to them. Hopefully you got a stun. So hitting people into walls was paramount. If you didn't hit them into the wall, you probably ruined the engage. Watching that particular game, in client no less, because you can download these from masterleague.net and watch them inside the actual game and click around whatever you want, watch just the Diablo go. They just charge and pick them up and create a body block, and that's that. It doesn't matter if he gets stun.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying you're so bad with him now because he's easier and more consistent?
I don't think I'm brave enough to be a tank these days. I am missing some sort of critical bit, and last season I've noticed this. I started removing tanks from my play, except for things like Tyrael and Leoric, where my job is very clear. Tyrael is an off support. Zarya as well, but I only do that in Team League. But Tyrael is an off support, has a surprising sanctification. You kind of play like Uther in a way, or even that Nazebo I talked about earlier. And then Leoric is all about just chewing on tanks and helping your team control. But when it comes to slow things like Arthas or anything I'm going to plant my face into, I don't trust my healers, maybe. Something changed there. And the damage isn't as clear because we have double tanks and double supports, and now Tassadar is doing amazing damage. So who do you choose to stun? I have absolutely, in my games, if I'm being forced on tank, I say I don't play tank anymore, and I go support. And I am now an assassin Zebo support kind of guy.
People will pay a lot of money for that type of clarity.
It took a lot of thought, and I love building decks. So when it comes time for new season placements, I do the exact same thing. I sit down with all the pretty pictures of all the maps, and I line up 3 heroes I'm going to do for every map, 2 heroes I'm going to ban out, and just illustrate the whole thing through.
It's a good exercise. We've done it on this show. We've done it in segments that we've posted to our Patreon. For me, it's good. In fact, if you want to do it again, I'd love to, dude. I would love that.
It's also,
thank you.
It's really fun too, and it's something you can do outside the game while still working on the game. So you're burned out for the day, maybe you played a lot, maybe you lost a lot, and you can do something in front of the TV with a notepad and just have a good time. And with hot slugs on, be honest with yourself. You gotta make the cuts, and you'll be surprised sometimes with what's a 20% win rate when you think you're pretty awesome.
All well put. So yeah. Anyway, back to midseason brawl. Super stoked about everything that happened for NA. Yes, both Tempo Storm and Roll20 are in the losers bracket, but there's 4 teams that aren't in it anymore at all. Gone. Out.
It's moving on.
Kaput. Yep. Exactly. Other than, I mean, just overall, every damn game I watched, really freaking good. Got to give a shout out to Ultra Jante on Twitter. So who was part of the hassling me, like, what are you doing on Sunday, man? Why aren't you watching Mid-Season Brawl? I'm just like, I've got a house, I got to freaking mow. It's been raining like crazy. I got to buy groceries because there's no more food in the pantry. What are you doing to me, man? I've tried watching Twitch while I'm in Publix. I stubbed my toe. It's a bad idea. Anyway, so I asked Ultra Gente what game he or she were freaking out about. They're like, whatever you do not miss. Don't just go home, pull it up, watch L5 versus Dignitas, specifically game 2. And I've never been less disappointed by a seeming stranger on Twitter, because my lord, this was one of the best games I saw all week. 12-minute win on Cursed Hollow.
I'm not going to say that Stitches never missed a hook. Probably somewhere off screen he missed a hook, but holy crud. And that was JPL there doing those hooks? Oh my goodness. It looks like it's clogged. It's got an Uther, Stitches, Greymane, Dahaka, but it don't matter none. Their Tyrael couldn't handle, lots of Tyrael, tons of Tyrael throughout this entire thing, actually. Really surprised there, but could not handle that.
It was solid, man. And I was still worried that someone, enterprising young Stitches players out there will watch this and just be like, cool, blind picking Stitches. Like, there's no new practice. Get your hooks down. You're not going to be this out the gate.
Make sure you have exactly what they had, Uther and even a Dahaka, something to catch once you get a hook. Because if you get a hold of something, can't hold on to it, it'll just walk away.
It was so damn good. So damn good. So if that was the best game, the thing that made me the happiest all week, I will say the thing that made me the saddest was the thing I was the most hyped for, which was the BlizzCon rematch, Kyle. Fnatic facing off against MVP Black for the first time since BlizzCon, where we had that big upset where Fnatic beat MVP. And like, now that I've said that and I've hyped that up for everyone at home, this was the biggest damn letdown in the mid-season brawl. Some very questionable drafts from Fnatic, and I get it. At that point, they were already, I think, 6-0 going into that game against MVP. They were like, no matter what happened from there on out, they were guaranteed at least a spot in the losers bracket. Like, I get it, and the analysts were even mentioning the Fnatic said that they were going to be holding strats back because they didn't want to show that, before moving on to DreamHack, but oh, good God, man. It was just kind of, it felt like they rolled over. And I like Fnatic. I'm a Fnatic fan. Like, I know they can do better.
And they didn't want to lose every single game. And this kind of happened throughout yesterday's games, too. They just kept drafting the same comp over and over because they didn't want to show anything more than that. Whereas when we get into other esports sometimes, you just pick wackadoo stuff and see if you can sort of build a fan base around it. So as a business decision, I am disappointed, because that's your chance to do murky and just go nuts. Make some fans.
Well, I mean, it was their chance to take ETC in the last pick against an entire roster of heroes that can do everything in the world to ruin your mosh pit.
Poor ETC.
Yeah.
He's doing well with Malthael, though. Because you have a straight line stun and you have a straight line shroud, that can be an excellent combo.
Yeah. But all in all, I think Mid-Season Brawl has not disappointed, and we're only halfway done. It's heading to DreamHack next, kicking up this Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. And this is going to be, again, I'm going to have my excuses on. It's Father's Day, man. I got to go see my dad. I live locally with my parents. I'm going to be like, yeah, Dad, love you. Okay, I'm looking over at my phone. What's going on?
Well, if you're missing them live, first of all, they post the VODs almost immediately. They're fantastic about that. And if you wait the 24 hours, those replay files will be up at masterleague.net. So put on the replay, put on the actual video in the background, and watch it in game. It is such a rewarding and informative experience.
I really want them to make this something that is possible to do while it's happening live, like Dota. I want the announcers in there. I want all that. I want that experience. I haven't done it in probably 5 years for the International, but when I did, it was amazing. And we were on StarCast yelling, "Why isn't this in StarCraft?" And I'm still here. I sit, Kyle, many, many years later, saying the same thing about a different game, but in the same engine.
Yeah, it's tough. It's technology that Dota hit the ground running with that we don't have, but maybe they can just add the sound file, right? Like, attach that, the casters going, because it's got to be said, these casters are having the time of their lives. I love Heroes casters, and that's not to say that other games don't have fabulous ones, but our dudes are allowed to have so much fun up there. And the table, the chairs, the community is highly informed, really enlightening, and then everyone's just having a ball, and I have fun watching it.
There's a sense of there's a sense of camaraderie and community with Heroes that I've never experienced with any other game. I don't get it, and it's a freaking MOBA. I would put it a tier. I would put it above Hearthstone. There's a bizarre. I can't think of a better word other than shittiness. There's a shittiness in the Hearthstone community. While certainly there is shittiness in Heroes as well, but it doesn't seem like it is in the esports loving populace to the degree that exists in most other esports.
It's an odd one with Hearthstone because it really did hit strong, and our critiques for it are to make it. Whereas Heroes, we kind of built it together. And so we're all really passionate about it. And we want to see it succeed. And we're so happy for its success. When we talk to our developers, it's very different than the way we address Hearthstone folks.
What do you mean?
It's suggestion, not demand.
Okay.
We want to improve the game, not fix it, perhaps.
I mean, with that, I would just say Heroes gets updates enough to where it probably quells the feeling of needing to demand.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at, the third week of Diva release, and everyone's going like, come on, what the heck, Blizzard? Where's our new hero? What's going on? Where's our announcement trailer?
Right.
It's slacking off over there.
If that went away, the tune, I guarantee you the tune would change very, very quickly because we're numb to this. This is the norm in Heroes of the Storm. We expect that hero every 3 to 4 weeks, and the biggest surprise there is that we're getting it. That Team 1 is actually keeping that pace for the most part.
Yeah.
It's such a great game to do this type of thing for, like this podcast. Do a podcast about it, make content about it, stream it, be a part of the community. There's just it has a special sauce. There's definitely a special sauce with other Blizzard games, including Hearthstone, including Overwatch. But I don't know. There's something about Heroes that just feels just a little bit more special to me, and I can't pinpoint what it is.
And it could be that mix-up. And we experienced this whenever we had a big StarCraft expansion. Everybody's opinion became legitimate suddenly. And it was a really exciting time. You could ask anybody what they thought. Pros said, I don't know. And we all figured it out together. We're constantly learning, which is a fantastic, fun experience. When a game stagnates, then people get silenced. And those in lower leagues don't get to have as much fun or a say anymore.
No, I mean, are you saying that there is a snowflake factor? That there are so many heroes with so many unique kits and abilities and yada yada? I'm just explaining a MOBA at this point. But if we're to talk about it within the Blizzard pond, Heroes versus StarCraft. StarCraft is 3 races and has a multi-decade pedigree at this point. Heroes relatively new to the scene and a lot more sense of, I think, individuality within it.
Absolutely. And this week I even saw a Tyrande body block in 1v1 in Alarak. And it was a strange occurrence. And it just made me go, well done, Tyrande. You understand your character better than Alarak did. Then that Tyrande came and visited my Zul'jin. I had a great time. So it came up to understanding. And Yeah, that's what these 3 Novas I played with this week won every game, and they were just lock-in picks because they knew what they needed to do.
Well, and you just explained something. I think you may have accidentally just distilled what one of your favorite things about MOBAs are, and I also like the Tyrande 1v1ing the Alarak. Finding yourself in the scenario where you can connect the dots in your brain and go, normally this would not work if this Alarak was playing their hero to the best of that hero's capability, and even if I played this Tyrande to the best of my capability, the Alarak would come out on top. But there's the X factor of the human on the other side of this, and you being able to read that person through a pile of pixels and make a call that, no, I can do this. I can outplay you.
I also just feel, and not in a brag, I don't know how to say this any better, but I feel really privileged because I am learning a ton right now because I am fighting among pros. When I get in a good majority of my games, I may be the weakest link, which means there's 0 thoughts in my head of what could have been done better by the rest of my team. It's all on me. And so that's just going to rocket that skill upward.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the interesting things about Hero. Now you're getting me think of like why I think Hero is a little more satisfying playing from home versus Hearthstone, and why I think Hearthstone is so satisfying in person is because you're seeing the person across from you, you're seeing their ticks, you're seeing them fidget, and there's just not that much information given to you in a game of Hearthstone if you can't see the other person. But in a game of Heroes where you have to micromanage this one character, sometimes up to 3 if you're playing Vikings, you're seeing a lot of micromanagement. You're seeing ticks, you're seeing body language, even if it is through a keyboard and mouse.
And I think you've just unlocked why I became a support player all of a sudden. It's because encouragement is always what I've been about, and tanks used to be able to protect my entire team. Now they can't because their CCs are too small. Too many counters are available. Giant killers are in the game throughout. Whereas if I have a heal beam on you as Morales, that Valla knows that she's a #1, and I need her to kick butt.
Absolutely. It's a giant telegraphed, I believe in you!
This is for you! Do the damage I can't. I'll try to hit 8,000 with my goo gun.
It's the backing characters in Dragon Ball Z lending their power to Goku. All right. Yeah. Wonderful. This was fun. I don't know how we got here from Mid-Season Brawl, but I enjoyed this little chat.
Let's get back to it real quick.
Yeah, let's bring it home and bring up some stats and some hero trends we saw.
Yeah. The stats are out. Warriors, top picks, of course, Anubarak, Dahaka, and Tyrael, actually. Falling away quite a bit after that. Supports, Uther, Malthael, and Tassadar. Specialists, Abathur, Medivh, and then a very, very down in the bottom 11% pick rate, Nazebo. That includes bans as well. And Assassins, 95% participation by Genji, either bans or picked. Greymane next, and then Valla all the way down at 45. So less Valla than you might assume.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing here is Genji.
Yes, there's a lot of Genji play.
Relatively new hero. He's just always involved. Absolutely landed in the pro meta.
And top bans, actually Uther.
Love it. I love it. As an Uther player,
well.
This makes me so happy. Sorry, what was that?
He's in a good spot. He's in a good spot, man. He combos well. If you go, I believe it's Eternal Devotion. No, Wave of Light. That is his level 1 on his Holy Radiance. He can be a team healer almost by himself. And then Silver Touch if you got an ally. And he combos really darn well with Medivh, actually.
Yeah, I see people in the chat room saying Uther needs nerfs. Does Uther need nerfs, or do our other supports just need to be adjusted?
I don't know. Uther has always suffered in a game about XP, and there is no easy answer. Because if I do a Holy Shock build, and I get 3 levels up, I'm hitting you for 500 to your face. With a ridiculously short cooldown, I'm healing myself, I'm giving myself armor, and then I've got all sorts of other tools to spam that thing even harder if I want to. So if I get a level lead on Uther, there's not much the enemy team can do because I become poke. locking them out. And then when they get up on me, I stun them. So from behind, Uther does struggle a little bit, but then he's got Divine Shield. He's got lots and a stun again. So he's got a lot of tools to recover. He's still got Spell Shield, all sorts of oddities. And then at 20, you get to 20 finally. If you're behind, get Suicidal maybe. There's just so many ways to bounce back. And he has melee, which just makes it bizarre again because melees often get locked out.
But he's very kit and very stat, I think, dependent, or not stat, but he's very tuned dependent. His tuning is extremely important because you just mentioned his stun and his Divine Shield as the other side of the coin, saying these are what makes him good from behind, allows him to come back from being behind in XP. Yet he has had that always in every incarnation of Uther since the very beginning of this game. He has had a point-and-click stun and Divine Shield, and there was a very long stretch of time where he was not seeing play.
Yeah.
So he needed that rework. He needed that extra tuning to his abilities. He needed the numbers to be a proper pick. So so that's the scary part. If they start bringing those dials back, does Uther just fall off?
If you are ahead, your heal is bigger. It's equal to more of your team's health. If you're behind, your heal is smaller, which means the damage on the enemy team is higher, even though you're providing armor. So each side of the coin, Uther is bizarre when you get right down to it.
Yep. And I agree. He's a very good counter pick to Genji. I would also argue Tracer. So that's probably why you're seeing a lot of him as well. But he's just solid support. A very solid, very strong support. So, also, hey, if you missed Tassadar in your pro heroes, he's back. He wasn't gone very long. Good God, so much Tassadar all up and down the midseason brawl. Wonderful. Well, before we move on to strategy, let's thank our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. Patreon just getting a redesign. I'm very happy with it. I saw some smack talk on Twitter. Maybe it's because I guess that and also Twitter itself got an update recently. Maybe just too much change all at once. I usually hate change. I actually like the new design. Not that this is important or thanking our patrons in any way, but I enjoy it. I like it. I think it looks nice. Anywho, if you enjoy Into the Nexus, if this show brings you value, either in the form of teaching you things, or if you think we're horrible scrubs, but at least we make you laugh, hopefully you'll consider going to patreon.com/ITN and supporting the show. Thank you to our producers, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, and Myth Doll. You guys are awesome, generous, ridiculous human beings. But also this week, thank you to Bjorn H, Andrew NM, Kyle B, Ryan M, Julian B, Alan H, Ian C, and simply Boo. Just Boo. B-O-O. Thank you. Also, I'm slightly startled.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I bet you do. But if I look at Boo, does Boo stop coming towards me?
Yes.
Cool. I was wanted to do that with a spooky ghost.
That's how it works for cats, right? That's why they're always standing in weird directions. That's what I was told anyway.
That when you look at them, they just freeze.
No. You know, cats are the guardians of the underworld, according to the mummy and, I guess, Egyptian lore. When cats randomly stare at the wall and are like, oh, and you're like, what are you looking at? What's over there? And there's nothing. It's because they're banishing spirits. I don't know. That's what my mom told me. She's a little hippie sometimes about that sort of spirit stuff. She loves those alien uncovery kind of shows.
I've only met your mom, I think, once, and I would not have. I did not glean that as a character trait.
It's more like a tick. Like, it's not that she's like, you know, she wants to do a seance and everything, but if she moves into a house, she might burn some sage to banish things.
Oh, it's amazing. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, whatever the case is, thank you to our patrons, and thank you to both of our cats for keeping the spirits at bay. Now, let's move on to strategy and remind everyone who you should be picking to DPS the damn Immortal.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Yeah, no clue what that means.
All right, so Immortal Racing and You is what you, Kyle, so appropriately titled this little strategy discussion. And in short, this is going to be a gut check on should you be taking that hero if you think what you're doing on this battleground is winning the objective.
Battlefield of Eternity, burning the objective. The opinions are strong. And you will hear people say, defend the first one always, attack the first one always, defend after the first swap always. There's a lot of ultimatums, and let's see if we can dispel some of those. Today, there was a post just this morning by It's Me Here over on Reddit. We have a link in the show notes, of course, so you can look at this exact document yourself. But they went through and calculated the DPS of all the main heroes you would use to burn the Immortal. Some are missing, so if you're curious about Fury Variant, for some reason, he won't be on this list here. He's missing, so we're not sure what his DPS is. But we get to see maybe at what level 7, what the first Immortal has the best burn character available. And guess what? It's not who you think, unless you're thinking of Valla, in which you're absolutely correct.
Okay.
But I think the biggest surprise I want to lead with here is early game, level 1 to 6. You'll never guess who has the highest Immortal DPS.
If I were to get, all right, I'm gonna cover it up. I'm gonna give an honest try at level 1 to 6. Who I think has the most DPS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I always go Li Ming, but I know it's not Li Ming.
And you wouldn't be wrong for thinking that. You know, Magic Missile build. It's not quite online at that point.
Right. It's not. It's not online.
Level 4.
Yeah, it's not online at level 6. That's why I said I know it's not Li Ming.
It's Rhaegar, actually.
Okay, that's a surprise.
Now, we're factoring in here that he has taken Lightning Bond, so he is putting a Lightning on himself and an ally, so he's getting double DPS there from himself in a sense. All these heroes are assumed that if it's Greymane, he's swiping in between auto attacks and things of that nature. But Rhaegar is your solo burn on level 1 Battlefield of Eternity, apparently.
Yep, and he doesn't drop out either. He's still in the top from level he's still in the top 7 from level 7 to 13.
If we're looking at DPS per second, early game Rhaegar is at 650, Greymane is at 640, and Valla is down at 590.
Yep. So
when we get to the mid game and Vala's talents start coming online, she's got her repeating arrow, she's doing a Q build. It's a Q build. Just so everyone knows, it's a Q build on Battlefield of Eternity. Then she jumps up to 980 and Rhaegar's down at 650. But still in the running for doing pretty darn decent and absolutely outclassing Sonya, Jaina, Greymane, actually. Yep. Lunara is not good. Malthael beats Lunara throughout the entire game.
So to recap, level 1 to 6, Rhaegar and Greymane taking the first and second spot. And from levels 7 to 13, Rhaegar and Greymane still in the top 7, but their damage doesn't really change. They don't move up in the world, whereas Valla just rockets above them, almost doubles their damage. And then other heroes like Sylvanas and Gazlo take the second and third spot, and again, doing significant more damage than your Rhaegar and your Greymane.
Which makes sense because Sylvanas can take a anti-monster talent there at level 4, and so she's able to augment herself throughout the game. When you get into late game, it's absolutely Valla, but still Sylvanas being very strong, followed by Greymane and Gazlo. So the real honesty we need to put out there today is the extreme sadness of Lunara. Valla level 7, 900 DPS, 980 DPS. Lunara at level 7, Nature's Calling, 512.
Oof.
That's bad.
Oof. You're according to this, you're losing to a Sonya and a Jaina as a Lunara at that level.
Again, certain builds, Ice Lance is online for Jaina. Sonya's doing Wrath of Berserker at 10. But you will lose out, absolutely. And Malthael crushes Lunara's numbers completely.
That's I always assumed Lunara was a good pick.
We all did. And in fact, in the past, her Nature's Calling was more powerful, and then they gave it a nerf. Mm-hmm. I think they even removed some 50% of the bonus damage from it when they did that nerf some 6-10 months ago.
Yeah. So there's a lot of chatter in the chat room about Malthael. Where does Malthael fall in this kind of overall? Because he's on the board for the early game, 1 to 6, off the board for the mid game, and then back on the board for 16+.
He is on the lower end of the 16+, and you would be taking Memento Mori with this so that he gets that burn when the mark has been on the target for over the set amount of time.
Gotcha.
When it's just early game, though, and you don't have any talents like that, Malthael does succeed and is number 4 here on our list, outclassing Artanis, Samora, and Zul'jin. And Zul'jin's assumed here to be missing half his health.
Gotcha. But it's going to drop off over the course of the game.
A little bit. In fact, another fascinating fact from this sheet here is that level 16 Zagara beats level 16 Li Ming. Which is frightening because you think Li Ming fully gets her Q build online.
Yeah, it is. I think it's also worth noting, though, that it's not a massive disparity. Li Ming comes in underneath Zagara. Zagara at 880 DPS, Li Ming at 820 DPS.
Right. I think Zagara provides a lot of cool tools for Battlefield, maybe in an old manish kind of way. I like her here a lot, and if this information can permeate the community, I'd be excited to take Zagara on Battlefield again.
You will see no pushback from me on everything that just left your mouth.
I'm sure I won't.
Zagara is bae. Cool. Very cool. This is some really interesting stuff. All right. In the notes, Kyle, you have an area labeled the Heckno pile.
The Heckno pile is Illidan and Raynor. These would be basically someone who has 0 impact on the actual map. I mean, Alarak does do less DPS than Raynor, but Alarak has pushes. He's got great basic attacks. He's got silences. There's going to be opportunities, but certainly if you're a good Alarak, you're pushing people in and out of stuns, and you're pushing yourself out of the Immortal stuns too. So Alarak's not quite the DPS hero. Raynor is one that you could make the mistake of thinking, we lost Valla. Let me just go ahead and grab 2-button Terry here, and it'll be the same. It's fine.
Gotcha. Wow. That's really low. It's extremely. I used to be taking Raynor into Battlefield all the time and feeling like a big boss. This is like half a year ago, but still.
Right. We were not playing with Zul'jin. I think Li Ming was still pretty new then. We did not have that many 2-lane maps either, so our understanding of how those mechanics worked were a lot lower. We were just kind of brawling it out.
Yeah, God, actually, and that was even probably more like a year plus ago. Really think about it, when we were both on the Raynor train.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago.
That was still rank 1 time period.
Yep. Oh, God, that was a long, long time ago. Jeez. Well, anyways.
So I hope this information helped keep some of you honest. Of course, it will come down to your personal skill. There's tons of things spinning around there. There's enemies running in and out. But be mindful. And for now, don't favor the Lure, but we absolutely have to control the Valla. She needs a ban. Sylvanas is also pretty darn crazy mid-game, late-game. And maybe Gazla, for my own fun sake.
Yep. Absolutely. And not to mention Sylvanas is also good here for all of the Sylvanas reasons, outside of being very strong DPS against the Immortal. But yeah, I guess in short, early game, Rhaegar, Greymane, Valla is your top 3. Mid game, Valla, Sylvanas, Gazlo is your top 3. And late game, Valla, Sylvanas, Greymane. Take Valla or ban Valla.
Get her out. And if you are the Valla, it is a Monster Hunter build. It is a Q build, Hungering Arrow. There is no room. There's no wiggle room here. There isn't. I'm sorry. I hate that. I want you to build however you want, but you're going to run out of mana. The Monster Hunter build makes it cheaper to do in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, and if that's coming from Kyle, the king of play your way, you know it's true.
Well, and I love caltrops. I love it to death and back. I think those little traps are awesome. I love people who chase me and step on them because they're nubs, and it would never work in a drafted environment. But darn it, and getting that 6-second cooldown on your vault feels so cool when you get a repeat or increase that crit later at 7. But the damage is too darn high.
Yep, absolutely. So get your Valla, ban your Valla, same with Sylvanas. Those are your public enemies, number 1 and 2. And again, we've got a link to this in the show notes, or just head on over to the Heroes of the Storm Reddit. Now let's wrap this up, Kyle, with some emails.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the MOBA, it's the Hero Brawler!
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Mach1, I bet. Mach1 writes in.
I would have said Machone like the Pokemon.
I would have said Machone. Is that... that's not an actual...
Wait, was he?
It was Machop.
No, but there were 3 versions of a buff dude. And he got arms and more muscles and head ridges.
Yeah, it was Machop, Machamp, and Machoke.
Oh.
Machoke was the one I had to Google.
That's awesome. Horrible name.
I forgot how cute Machop is. He turns into a roided out Goro.
Yeah, but that Goro will always have a special place in my heart because that was the starter pack card you got. That was the foil.
Oh, I bought the Psychic deck and got a Mewtwo who turns out garbage Pokemon card.
Oh, you would have been late then.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
terrible.
First deck that came out was that fighter deck.
Oh, I don't know. Got in at some point. When I was a kid, I didn't have internet and release dates or knowledge.
You didn't have Nintendo Power to help you out?
I
Did your
did
parents
actually.
love you?
I did have Nintendo Power, but I don't recall
Okay.
ever reading about a release date. And I still to this day have they sent you the promo E3 stamped Pikachu card with the alternative art for subscribing.
Yeah.
I still have it. All right, let's get to what I believe Mach 1 had to write in his email. Mach 1 says, one of the key things you stated, which was obvious after you stated it, was not to dive too frequently with an auto attack build Illidan due to the resultant loss in DPS. I was wondering if there are other things like this that might be obvious to your keen eye, but us laymen do not see until it is brought to our attention. And Kyle, I can see from the notes that you came prepared.
I've just got a pile of these ready to go. Mach 1 here is referencing a auto attack Illidan build. If you flip too much, your flippy times and your dashy times are reducing the amount of time you're staying locked on and auto attacking, decreasing your damage, and ultimately decreasing your survivability. So what sort of fancy things can you do on other heroes that people may not be aware of? And I've got a couple here. They seem simple, but keeping them in mind is going to increase your play style. So, lock on talons. Before you lock into something, make sure you cast your spells. If you're Asmodan and you're going to put a laser onto someone with your All Shall Burn, put out your summons. Seems pretty obvious, but you're going to be locked in that spell for a bit. Might as well have those things ticking on cooldown in the background. Tychus is Odin. Use your grenade first. Use your run and gun. Might as well. You're going to be having those cooldowns circling while you're inside the Odin. And then when you pop out, they're ready to go again. Don't miss out on that DPS. This can be the same thing for Greymane. Throw your Glenaius Cocktail if you have the mana for it before you dive in so that you had that DPS as you go in. Once you're in the Worgen form, there aren't going to be any Gilneas Cocktails flying.
That seems even more obvious than the Odin, because the Odin feels like it takes a little bit of setup.
It does. You're locked in there for a much longer time than your actual base cooldowns are, too. So it can be easier to forget, whereas Greymane's cooldowns overall are really short. Let your auto attacks out. This is a pretty simple one, but something we haven't covered in a very long time on this show. To get to the very complex version of it, every time you cast a spell in this game, you're resetting your auto attacks. That's not entirely useful to a lot of you. Instead, make sure that when you cast a spell, you follow it with an auto attack before you pile on too many spells. So if you are Jaina and you run in on somebody and you put out a Cone of Cold, give it a second because you just reset your own auto attacks. Put out that little tiny auto attack and then shoot the Ice Lance and then shoot the Blizzard and make sure there's always a small break in there so you maximize your DPS. That one's really hard to do because you're a burst character and you're probably just running in going, oh, and just hoping they all die before you're done. More obvious would be something like Dark Flight on Greymane. You leap in and you swipe. You did it too fast. There should be an auto attack in between those two.
I think most melee heroes, all this kind of stuff should be more obvious. Think of it as manipulating the animation of your character because it's more or less what you're sort of doing here.
The high-end pro version of this is canceling an overlong animation. So Leoric, he does a skeletal swing. He's got that big old hammer, and he goes across and then it lingers. It's so heavy that it lingers, and it looks great. But if you do a move command, you'll knock him out of that linger animation and get him moving faster. You're actually moving a little faster now because you didn't hang out in that wind down of swinging your mace, and you'll get out your next auto attack sooner.
Yep.
That's a dirty one. I don't expect a lot of you to use that one. Here's a more natural version of this. Butcher. Hamstring. On the text, it says that it gives you an instant auto attack following the hamstring. If you are using your hamstrings at maximum range, you are never taking advantage of this free instant auto attack on the other side. So getting a snag is great. Slow them down. Doing some poke is fine, but realize that you're losing some value in that moment if you're not in melee range.
So taking range into account while doing that hamstring. Still, again, been playing a lot of Butcher lately. That's good information. I didn't know that one.
Make sure you use the full text, and that relates to Butcher here as well. So hamstring gives you a free, very fast auto attack following it. Read all your abilities and make sure every part of it is used. Did you know Divine Shield gives 20% movement speed? I didn't for the longest time, but that's really helpful for someone who needs to get in there and get busy during that short duration. Malthael's Tranquility gives a decreased cooldown, 50% faster to the person who's regenerating mana. If you receive the Innervate, cast some spells, spam a little bit. You've not only got the mana for it now, but you're actually cooling down faster. So Innervate comes out on you, you're sitting on all your cooldowns, cast something.
Awesome. Thank you for all these little tips, man.
There are many, many of these, but I hope these sort of open your mind to some of the ways to optimize your heroes out there.
All right. Second email and final email for the day, bringing us to an end of this episode. Brenton writes in and asks, which heroes do you think feel the most different, leading to the most diversity in gameplay? Which heroes do you switch to when you get bored with the most straightforward heroes? Zagara, this is why she's my favorite hero.
But you play her very seriously as well.
Well, it's because I've just played her so damn much. You spend enough time with any one hero in this game, you're gonna start playing well. And actually, I would say I'm not that great with her anymore. There are many maps where you want to go Nidus build, and I'm just garbage at it because I got really good at Maw when Maw was the only thing to ever take.
If you're looking for the secret on Nidus, it's tough in a unorganized environment because you will have to abandon what has probably been your lane for the entire game to go spread creep everywhere else. But once you've taken that time, and if your team can allow you that time to go out and get that network online, you'll have it for a very long time. But the other part of the text is a battle momentum. While on creep, each basic attack reduces all of Zagara's cooldowns by 0.75. That's the power of Nidus. The Nidus is nice. It's cool to be tricky, but the amount of Hydras you will now put out will actually be a huge increase to your overall DPS. Your Banelings too, Infested drops as well. So what you're really making a choice of is my team the damage and I need Devouring Maw, or do I need to be the damage too? And maybe I'll get a little weird on the side.
Well put. I should probably just start working on that because Nidus is really fun.
And it just takes practice. You're not going to be good at it just thinking about it. There's a load up time. If you get touched during it, it cancels. There's a lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah, but Zagara was... I think it was also the point I really fell in love with this game. I liked it out the gate, but there was something about playing Zagara where I was just like, wow, this feels like playing Zerg, like in a really good way, and no one else in this game feels like playing her. And including Probius. It's probably the reason I hate Probius so damn much. I'm like, this doesn't feel a damn thing like playing a Protoss anything.
It's tough to get over the feeling of building permanency when you play Probius as a StarCraft player.
Mm-hmm.
I did all this work. Where's my reward? Whereas Zergs are just dying all the time. That's what you do as Zerg. You just throw things to the wall.
Yep. But what about you, dude? What's your answer?
Specialists. Abathur is certainly, just weird. Good break from body blocking, but I love Zool. I would say that's my new one. Asmodan is popular again, so I'm kind of hipster on it. He is my second highest hero just because of Quick Match, and Kristen and I do a duo stack QM sort of hangout time where we do Murky Asmodan. It is fantastic. There's all the demons and the Murkies weaving between them and gives us team fight together, and we just wreck things. Reign of Demons and March of the Murlocs. Good times. But I'd say Zool is my, late night, not really looking to team fight, but I just kind of want to outpush do the full skeletal build.
Okay, I'm so glad you
skeletons.
I'm so glad you said that. All right, I guess I'm just on this kick, and I didn't bring it up this episode so far, but I did bring up Rexar, right? Used to hate him.
Yep.
Now liking him. Zool, same thing, dude. I haven't touched Zool since like launch week. Got in, just like, oh, this guy, I'm terrible with him. Not for me. Again, whatever. Had a Diablo quest, wanted to level him up, went and played him. Did a full skeleton build. I love him. He's really fun.
It is really fun. It's very oppressive. You can get a lot done. But I think one of the things that has really improved him is Bone Prison used to go unattended because of our lack of mobility. If you got a Bone Prison that someone had run away too far, or Valla had vaulted back, no one was going to get that. Now you get a Bone Prison, and from across the map, Genji comes flying in. Takes him out for you.
Or your Chromie just lands everything.
Right. There's lots of new interactions you can do with Bone Prison that I think are very enjoyable. While Zool still lacks a little bit of team fight, and I think if not played strongly enough, he can absolutely be countered by a lot of different heroes. I just think he's a blast.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Abathur, because I've been playing him again recently, too. I like him on Hanamura, oddly enough. I don't like the Battleground, but I like playing Abathur on Hanamura, because I just go a full Locust build and just hang out top the whole time.
I bet the Ultimate Evolution is quite powerful on Hanamura.
It is. It is. It very much is, especially with so many Genjis running around and Greymanes. And, oh my god, I got into a Hanamura game, and there was a Cassia on our team, and I just Ultimate Evolution that Cassia every single time. It was beautiful.
The reason I don't play as much Abathur as I used to is because of laziness. I don't want to learn how to do merc camps. And it's just for fun. It's not a fun thing to me, but it's something I would expect Abathurs on my team to know how to do. So I've just sort of removed him from any sort of serious play in my mind. But Abathur absolutely can, with mines, with the correct talents, and locusts, take out giant camps by himself.
Yeah. I enjoy him. And I remember when you were teaching me to play him, again, I think it was a video we did for the Patreon, back in my heyday of Abathur hate, thinking, man, this is a lot of work. Like, but now I get on him and I'm just like relaxing. I feel like I'm playing the mini map.
I think it's because body blocks, all these positional characters and movement speed creep to an extent, have made the game really busy in our heads. And just hanging out behind some wall somewhere feels real nice.
It does. It absolutely does. Sneaking my little worm butt out a few times to let some locusts go, and then hop back. It's fine.
Yeah, totally thank you for saying that, though. I'm sure a lot of Abathurs are like, you're behind a wall, Kyle. What are you doing? Soak XP. I mean, yes. Yeah, right.
No, on those Hanamura games, I wiggle out, and I keep an eye on that mini-map, and the second I see a red dot come in, I'm just like, okay, who is it? Who is it? Okay, that's a threat. Move back now.
There's also a lot of examples now. Abathur is seeing quite a bit of pro play, so I think expectations are raising.
I would love how old school some of the stuff I was seeing this past week. Where the hell? I can't remember what game I saw the Abathur and the Illidan, but it was wonderful. Like it happened in the draft, and I was just like, oh, we're getting old school. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's because of Genji. He put Illidan back on when Genji goes. You go Tracer, Illidan, Tassadar. We already got the Tassadar anyway, so we're doing this one way or another.
Yep. There's some really fun, cute stuff to do in this game right now, and I'm enjoying it, having a good time. Blizzard's just killing it right now, man. If you go listen to the most recent episode of Angry Chicken, I'm just on there like, oh my god, Angoro, it's still good. It still doesn't suck. I hate mages a lot, but it still doesn't suck, and I'm feeling the same way about heroes, and I'm sure if I wasn't giving any time to Overwatch, I'd feel the same way. Doing a good job, man. And now there's an ad for Destiny 2 on my launcher, and I can't wait for that. I know Blizzard had nothing to do with it.
Necromancer, have you seen those videos?
I haven't at all. It's the first Blizzard beta I have not gotten into in forever. And I'm not expecting or asking for your pity, and I'm totally fine with it, because when the Necromancer does release, I'm going to buy him immediately and play a ton of Diablo 3, and I don't want to be burnt out before that happens.
Exactly. I don't want to see those things again. I'm ready for new. I'm ready to get back in there. And that the 3 different modes of him, the Blood, Curse, Bode, Summon. I guess I named 4 there, but still, looks great.
I want to, and I'm putting this out. I know it's not an announcement and it involves you, but I just want to put this out publicly because I want to find a way to make it work. I want to find a way to carve out time to do a Diablo 3 stream with you when Necromancer releases.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
We could make that happen.
I don't know how the hell we're going to do that because our time is so cannibalized at this point, but we'll find a way.
Morning sometime. Keep an eye on A Move.
Yeah, we'll do like a morning show where it's just Diablo and coffee.
Yeah. Ooh, that already sounds great.
666 coffee beans.
Okay, yeah. Riffs and caffeine.
Oh, there you go. There you go. We'll figure something out. But whatever the case, you know what else we're going to figure out? We're going to figure out how to end the show right now because we're to the end here. I've had a good time today. It felt like a good mix of like old school Kyle and Garrett tangents, plus some actual information delivered, plus extreme happiness with esports and the new hero that's released. I've even been proved wrong within 72 hours on a new hero. Just all good feels. Heroes is a good place to be right now, and so is this podcast. So, happy birthday again, sir. I enjoyed your birthday.
Well, we have a lot to make up for here because we do this show 4 times a month, most months, 5 times this month. But we have fabulous guests that come on. So you know what? This sort of banter, it should happen when it's just the two of us.
Yeah. It should. Next week, we'll be joined by Jeff Kanata, by the way, if you were wondering when he was going to be coming on. It's E3 week this week. There's no way he was going to come on. And I hope you're okay with more tangents, because I bet there'll be at least 2 E3 tangents next week.
Sure, why not? But also, Jeff is our resident silver player, and I'm excited to hear from him how his placements went and what sort of experiences he had on that front.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, if you are a patron of this here fine show, know that next week, next Thursday, after episode 171, will be our patron bonanza, which will be the extended after show game where we usually do Team League. We might be doing that again next week. I certainly would like to, because I'd like to take a break from getting my butt handed to me by the patrons. I'd rather slay along with them.
They're good. They're good. Our community has a lot of good players in it, and they can kick our butts at times. So, yeah, let's be buddies. Let's start those placements up, and then we'll have time for another bonanza or 2 before the next season.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, let's bring it home. And speaking of our patrons, thank you all very much again. Thank you, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Mythdell, our producers. If you enjoy Into the Nexus, check out patreon.com/ITN. We are live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV, or you can catch us on alphageekmedia.com on really any device you can pretty much think of. The Twitter for the show is at ITNcast, and we got to thank Gorath for our rockin' intro music. Check out his show, The Core, and BrianGriffithMusic.com. Brian made our outro music and was Kyle's roommate, and I've known him since I was 3. So if you need some music, send that gentleman some business. Kyle, though, where can folks find you when you're not heading into the Nexus with me?
There have been so many long streams while I'm doing this grind over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. You should check it out. And I'll be varying the times coming up soon. I'll be streaming at both 5 o'clock some days and 2 o'clock on other days. So good times for both EU and America. Check out twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson because I'm on the climb D2 at the moment, and I'm going for Masters this season. It's going to take a lot of games.
Good luck, Kyle, and most importantly, have fun.
I will. Darn it, I will. It's going to be Zul'jin. No Vallas. No Vallas ever. Just don't have fun on her.
Good. Don't play her. You don't have
Passion picks.
Oh, I believe you. I believe in you, Passion picks. If you like what you're doing, you'll play better, play harder, and win. For the most part. I mean, there's definitely certain heroes. Like Raynor on Immortals, maybe that wouldn't work no matter how much you like him. But whatever the case is, hey,
60% win rate. That's what you aim for.
Yep. I have a Twitter. If you'd like to follow me and hear the nonsense leaving my mouth when I'm not spewing it on podcasts, you can follow me at Garrett Art. Every other podcast I do can be found at amove.tv. I have a solo show called The Angry Nerd that I would like to promote. I'm going to be attempting to put together an E3 episode tomorrow. There is so much to talk about. I don't even know where to put it. Matter of fact, Kyle, if you're around, feel free to join me. I would love to get your thoughts on Anthem because it looks sweet.
But I can give you my opinion right now.
But that would be short.
It would be, and I won't like it because it killed Mass Effect.
Did it kill Mass Effect, or did Mass Effect kill Mass Effect?
Mass Effect killed Mass Effect for sure, and a lot of the problems along the way in making that game killed it. But that's Project Dave, and that's what they pulled about a third of their resources from the team to make during Andromeda's production cycle.
Sad. Sad day.
Cool looking game, though.
I'm looking forward to it a lot. I'm really hyped for Destiny 2, and this is like, it looks Destiny-esque, it's kind of open world. It looks Destiny-esque, which means it looks MMO-esque, which is what I would say Destiny is it's MMO-ish.
Yeah.
MMO without the calories. But
MMO light.
Yeah, exactly. So check out the Angry Nerd for that. I really don't know what it's going to look like. I haven't had a second to even sit down and start putting a finger to keyboard to make my notes, but I'll be putting one of those out tomorrow. Everything else is at amove.tv. Check it out. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for putting up with Pokemon tangents. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.